Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first prediction of 2022. I am here with...
Mal, aka the gaming news guy, aka guy who invented who helped work on the G1 Deathbell fan blog. So please put all your complaints for Hellboy vs Nero right towards me.
Yes, you
But
can
anyway, it's good to be.
Yes, it's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been like what? Last one was Dio vs Alucard, which was in October.
Yeah, that was
But
the
even
4 episodes since then.
yeah, and even then, it's been like 3 months, like since the last Death Battle, which was really good. But
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are feeling the burn when it comes to this break, because man, people have been just like anticipating what the first episode of this season is, and turns out it's Harley vs Jinx, which I'm a little surprised about, because I thought it would be. I had my reasons why, as I thought that it wouldn't be Harley versus Jinx, mostly because not only was like Tanjiro the first character teased in the season, but also Arcane literally came out in November, so I was like, would their research be done by the time Arcane came out? And I guess guess it didn't matter because they factored it into the analysis. But
I mean, this does coincide really well with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
true, but that's not coming out till like I assume late this year.
Nah, but if you do it now, you get the initial hype from the trailer, and like the hype that's going on with that, and then when it comes out, it comes back again, and you get more hype again.
Yeah,
So,
now that's a fair point, and plus it's near Arcane.
are those two sets of hype? This episode must have 4 times the views. Anyway.
Yes. Yes, but yeah. I imagine this is going to get a lot of views, because this is probably one of the bigger matchups they've teased, at least in terms of popularity. Because this has always been Harley Quinn's most requested matchup. Like, yeah, there are other options, but I think this is the longest lasting one. Like, they could have done like Gwenpool, but mind you, Gwenpool would just be boring.
That would be
Well,
lame,
not
because
boring, but-
you'd have fucking Harley Quinn running in with like a hammer and a gun, and and then Gwenpool's coming in, opening up gutter space and dropping a fucking kaiju on her, or throwing Mjolnir at her face.
True.
Like, yeah, that's gonna be fair. Little fucking mallet versus Mjolnir.
Yeah, like
So-
Gwen, like I know people get their hate for Gwenpool, but I think she'd be interesting. But I do think this was her best option for Jinx.
Well,
But the issue with Trigger Happy is quite good.
I guess the problem with Trigger Happy is that it would be more like, it would be better for Game Jinx,
True.
which is not the popular one. So.
Mind you, it seems like they're focusing more on Game Jinx, which at
Right,
least the animation is.
I'm just gonna look up the fucking trailer. I've not bothered to watch it, which I've told you, I've not said it in the video yet, I don't think, but, oh god, Akil's just messaged me. Oh no. Oh no. I would feel bad. I would feel bad about you robbing the chance to talk about Harley from him, but he's got fucking Wanda versus Zatanna, inevitably, that he's gonna get to
True.
talk about for 4 fucking hours with me, without bang.
No, that. Yep. Like, oh, Akil's gonna go full in on Scarlet Witch versus Zatanna. Like,
And
Jesus.
Fucking Raiden? No, Thor versus Vegeta. He's gonna be going on to
Yeah.
Death Battle Season 9 trailer. Let's see.
I might be involved with Tanjiro versus Jonathan, but I think Time also wants to do that.
Time hasn't talked to me about it, I don't think. Has he? I do not remember. Ah, here we go. Death Battle next time. Harley Quinn versus Jinx. You're gonna get my initial reaction without any visuals.
Hey, I like
Let's do this first.
Oh
before we
fuck,
get into night
the audio is gonna be picked up. Oh, is that the animation? Oh, okay.
Screw you emo pigeon! I'll show you a murder!
Are these like actual clips from their characters or in the Death Battle?
Yeah. That. You mean the scenes? I think there's like a couple of scenes of Harley and Jinx fighting, and then there are clips of.
I meant the audio. Like
Oh,
the voice
the audio
line.
is no, the voice actors.
Ah.
You are murdered!
That.
Hey, Snicker, you got a light?
I'll be honest,
Say.
Harley Quinn sounds extremely annoying, so they definitely got that part of her correct. The
Yeah.
fight looks okay.
Like, I'm
Hey,
The fight looks nice, but I just noticed the models, right? Jinx looks like she's got a good amount of detail. Harley looks super washed out, man. And she's got the Suicide Squad hair on like a original cartoon body. That looks weird to me. Like Jinx model looks really fucking good. Harley's might just be the quality of the screen record I'm watching, but Harley's looks really washed out.
it looks kind of cartoony.
Compared to, Jinx also looks cartoony, but she looks like she's got a lot of detail on her model.
I do think like the environments look really good. Like this ain't the Kuma Shao Kahn like environment here.
Oh no,
Like-
I think what I like the most is the aesthetic overall. Like it has that sort of very, it's very colorful, you know. I like
it's
that.
very colorful, which does fit both characters.
Yeah,
And it's being done by the Blender team, which
I can tell.
I hope I've liked a fair amount of Blender matchups, but I've also had very mixed feelings on two of them. But and I do think it could work for this fight. I'm just more worried about the hand-to-hand stuff.
I could totally imagine this being a lot more weapons focused, so I don't think it'll be a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, my biggest takeaway is Harley's model looks washed out, Harley's voice is annoying, and I really like the colors.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the animation overall, but I'm also very interested more on the analysis side.
Yeah.
Which
Speaking
I
of,
think-
let's start with Jinx.
Which, yeah, like Jinx is gonna have a lot. Okay, time to go into not excruciating detail, but time to explain League of Legends lore because it is a bit of a mess. Okay, to explain League of Legends lore, basically, it is the Runeterra is basically split into multiple locations: Bilgewater, Demacia, Ionia, Noxus, Piltover, the Shadow Islands, Freyord, the Void, Zon. It's basically there's multiple locations and they have basically their own stories behind them. Like Bilgewater is very pirate focused. Like Demacia is very very fantasy, very sword and sorcery fantasy. Zon is kind of a darker take on that. The Shadow Islands is basically Lovecraftian stuff, as well as the Void. Freyord is more Norse-based. And then we have the main topic, which is Zon and Piltover, which are basically League of Legends take on steampunk. A mix of steampunk and futuristic elements. And when it comes to the locations, their power levels and stories were very wildly like for example, take the Freyord cast. Like there are feats that absolutely eclipse any feats that a Harley Quinn could do. Like for example, there's this very Chad bear called Volbear.
Did you just say Volbear?
Volbear.
Okay,
Volbear.
I was so scared for a second. I blame Biff.
Whose powers can literally split whose roar can split mountains, and literally fought a being who could freeze all of the Freyord in just like a couple of seconds. Like when it comes to League of Legends as a verse, it is a bit on the confusing side because the power levels vary wildly. Like this is not a series that has one set power level. Like on one hand, you have characters like Jinx who have shown mostly who can blow up buildings and blow up city blocks, and then you have characters like Aurelian Sol who literally forged all the stars in the universe and literally can probably bust galaxies if he wanted to. So like the idea of scaling every lead character to each other is frankly absurd. It's like,
You're talking
why
about
would
this.
you like?
You're talking about this as if this is a big deal, as if Jinx is not fighting an opponent who comes from a series that has both Lucifer, Morningstar, and Nightwing.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Like league like DC varies wildly in power. Like, being honest, yeah, but no DC, no self-respecting DC fan would scale Nightwing to Lucifer Morningstar. But
Well, I don't know. Nightwing
I've seen people argue
is
for like,
wearing blue. I don't know where I was going with that. Keep going.
I've seen some arguments on what Jinx would scale to reasonably in terms of power level. I honestly, in my opinion, I think she only should scale to the Piltover and Zon cast, mostly due to the fact that she's rarely ever interacted with as non-Zon and Piltover characters in canon. Yeah, there's a couple of non-canon trailers where she's interacted with some of them, but they're very like loose interactions with not much relationship between them. Plus,
Speaking
and I
of
think she's
canon.
only really ever, yeah. Oh God, canon. Canon's a whole nother different story that I'm gonna get into a bit later. But yeah, like I know people say she should scale to like Garen and other characters, like Knight and characters that are not as strong but still decently impressive. But I just don't see it. I feel like mostly they should stick to Zon and Piltover. But I could like see them scaling to some characters. Like, one of the things that I saw in Ultra Guy's blog for Jinx in terms of suggested media was the Dunk Master Darius skin. I'm like, that's like an alternate skin. That's like a complete alternate skin. I mean, it's hilarious. It's like what if this character was a basketball player, and literally he uses a giant basketball and literally creates this massive crater just by dunking on it.
I've just lost the entire plot.
It is really weird. It's a really weird trailer, but yeah. Like, I'm mostly stick for the sake of this prediction video. I think it's fine to mostly stick towards Zon and Piltover characters, so we won't be mentioning any universal or country level feats from other league characters.
All right.
That's my big spiel in terms of what we're scaling to her. I could mention what characters I'd specifically scale to her, which I might as well. I think it's fair to scale Jinx to Vi, Caitlyn, Ziggs, Echo, Singed, Camille, Victor, Jace, Urgot, Blitzcrank, Twitch, Dr. Mondo, Zac, Ezreal, and oh god, Heimerdinger. Like, Heimerdinger is not an easy name to pronounce, but yeah, that's basically what we're going to be doing for this prediction video.
There's a bunch of words, and the only thing I picked up was dinger, which means condom.
Heimerdinger.
Yep,
It's
hybrid
like
condom.
he's kind of like this weird scientist who
Makes condoms?
no, he doesn't. No, he is an asshole.
I mean,
But at least in Arcane, in the games he's fine.
he looks like a midget.
But yeah, he is a midget. Like League of Legends has this whole race that are basically midgets.
Oh, okay.
At least, kind of like their version of goblins and gnomes from fantasy stories.
Anyway,
But yeah, that's
on the flip side, somehow the DC ones are less confusing. They're just going to use post-crisis. Is that the years of pre-crisis Harley? No, there shouldn't be.
I don't. No, there isn't. There isn't.
Because she debuted in the what?
Yeah, like there's no pre-crisis.
Yeah, because she debuted in the animated series. So they're just going to use post-crisis
Yeah.
and New 52 and a bit of the animated series, I'd imagine. Probably focusing on the animated series. I picture and then like feats.
I actually think they'll probably also have a focus on the new Harley Quinn series. You know, the one that came out on HBO Max.
Yeah, I definitely have seen it, and by that I mean I've not seen it and I don't care.
I've seen a little bit of it. It's quite good, though. I guess it really depends on if you like this version of Harley. If you prefer the more animated, serious incarnation of Harley, then you might be surprised. But like Harley Quinn has kind of had kind of like a reinterpretation over the years, like even more than say Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, or any of the DC heroes. Like she's her I like to call it pre-Joker, like post-Joker and with Joker, because like her character post-Joker is wildly different from how she was like in the animated series. Like yeah, she has aspects of her personality, but like the writers have turned in a very different direction.
Honestly, as long as she isn't piss irritating in the fight, I will just be fine.
Yeah, I hope she's not too irritating. Like I hope they don't go full wacky crazy murder mode. I mean, you can do some of that to extent, but I think it would just be kind of annoying, like to have a complete,
Yeah,
like,
just have her off her rocker the whole time.
Yeah, like Harley Quinn, don't get me wrong, is crazy, but she can be serious when she needs to be, and she can, like, well, she does break. She's not crazy, wacky, OMG like the worst versions of Deadpool can be.
Few things are as bad as the worst versions of Deadpool.
Like, thank God we're not getting Deadpool versus Harley Quinn.
I would take Gwenpool over that.
Like, maybe as a DBX, but
no.
Yeah, but yeah,
No.
Harley...
if Deadpool's getting on DBX, put him up against fucking Gintoki or something. I don't care. Not Harleen.
Well, I was gonna make a comment like do Deadpool versus Devil Artemis Cell, but like that would be like a complete stomp.
Actually, no. If
As
you're
a
going,
DBX.
if you're going to do a DBX, do Deadpool versus Batman. That would be so funny if they did that.
They probably make like a recurring joke about the fact how many appearances they've had.
I just think it'd be amusing, and then Thor's gonna come in and as like the third wheel, as if he doesn't just steamroll both of them. But
True.
And I guess Wonder Woman already is part of there. So in the end, if you were to do a fight between all the characters who've been on the show 3 or more times, it just goes back to Thor versus Wonder Woman. I mean, Leonardo's not gonna add anything.
Yeah, like unless they do like TMNT versus Ruby, I don't see Leonardo coming back.
No, and I mean, if they were going to do a TMNT battle, I'd rather it be in Ninjago, and do it do it as a brick film, because you can do that, and that'd be really creative.
That'd be dope. But anyway, yeah, like Harley's not that complicated. Like she's generally much more easier to figure out. Like basically Harley scales to all the DC characters, like street level characters, which I think they've gone to like town level or city block level, and relativistic. Like there's like Harley has multiple laser dodging feats that, while could be debated as being lasers, I think like laser dodging among DC street tiers is consistent enough to give her that. But I personally feel like this matchup doesn't really come down to stats, but we'll go into that more a bit later.
Yeah, it depends. Like I've seen a bit of a resurgence on town level or small town to mid-town level DC street tiers as of late. Which is a little bit concerning. I mean, it's not really concerning because it would make DC versus Marvel street tiers debatable again. Except for Captain Cold versus anyone, because Captain Cold just kind of slaps basically anyone.
Yeah.
Amongst the Marvel street tiers. Or Iron Fist versus anyone. That's true.
Yeah, like I don't mind town level DC street levels. Not heralded. Like, good lord, I'm not versus Battle Wiki. I'm not versus Battle Wiki, who loves to downplay DC.
I mean, I'd say when it comes to downplaying heralds, they did Marvel more dirty with mountain level Ghost Rider. I always bring it up. Is that still there? I don't want to look up to see if it's still there, but if it's still there, I remember the keys are like restricted mountain level, and then unrestricted / Zerathos, which would make it seem that what they mean by restricted is Ghost Rider, and what they mean by unrestricted is Zerathos. In which case, they're saying that Ghost Rider, whenever he's not just outright Zerathos, caps at punching the Himalayan mountains. Which is not even a mountain level feat.
Or Iron Fist, basically Iron Fist tier. Like, that's just mean to poor Ghost Rider.
Iconic
like,
Marvel
Jesus.
Street tier character, Ghost Rider.
Like, oof.
Spawn coming in for that easy
Money
W.
kind of against Spawn. Well, they might do Spawn. I feel like if Ghost Rider does come back, it's probably going to be Spawn.
Oh yeah, I mean, who else would they bring him back for? Atomic Skull?
Scorpion.
Stick to Spawn, mate.
Yeah, stick with Spawn.
It's not even like it's just a bad Ghost Rider idea. It's just a bad Scorpion idea. Like, I get it. I get it. The Flaming Skull, the chains, the vengeance, but there's a bit of a difference between
In power level.
Yeah, you got a guy who punched the Himalayan mountains to bits, and then a guy who got killed because he was stabbed by a bug.
Yeah. Ooh. Oh, don't get me started on MK11. Oof. Oh man, that's a whole nother debate.
Actually, I say that as if he
But,
doesn't
yeah.
come back in the final battle in the background. Hanzo survived. He's fine. He was just in hiding. Don't worry about it, fellas.
Yeah.
Before did not kill him.
But yeah, how like DC Street tiers are fairly consistent with each other at the moment.
Yeah, I think
But-
in Batgirl's episode, they capped. I think it was multi-city block.
Yeah,
block,
I think multi-city block is fine. I'd give her that. Give Harley that.
It was
Though,
scaled to Batman. Batman
I-
did have that town level durability feat.
though Jinx is a bit on the wacky side because, yeah, as I said earlier, I just scale her to the Zon and Piltover cast, and there are like large city block level feats in that done by Zorn and Piltover characters, and in terms of speed, I would also say there's been arguments related to like Versus Battle Wiki has Jinx like supersonic, which I think is a bit of a low ball. like there are like laser dodging feats like in. Oh, by the way, by the way, just to let you guys know, I know we're gonna be spoiling a bit of Arcane. Like, if you were expecting going into the prediction video about us not talking about Arcane spoilers, then I don't know what to say to you. Like, Arcane is like an important part of Jinx's history, so yeah, we're gonna spoil it.
And I have not seen it, and I don't know if I will. Probably, I don't know.
Well, I'm not gonna go into too big spoiler details. Just some notable things, like Jinx debatably scales to a couple of characters that have like laser dodging feats. Like during one of the comics, Camille dodges I think it's like electrical lasers. Like she easily just maneuvers herself and easily dodges them and takes out her opponents, and which I don't think it's been confirmed, but by the G1 Death Battle chat if those lasers are faster than light, but I think you could give her that. But the more bigger evidence is that there's a blatant FTL ability in League of Legends. It's called Death Ray, which is kind of a stupid name when I think about it. Just because it's literally a just giant pew pew laser. It's one of the abilities of a character called Victor, who in the Arcane series it is established that it's like a mechanical arm that has a powerful ray of light, and we literally see it burn the location and create Heimerdinger's face, which it was basically a testing, and Victor uses that mechanical arm during his fights in actual League, and Jinx wins. And there is a video, even though it's debatable canon, where Jinx outright dodges Victor's Death Ray as well as V, who also scales to Jinx. So debatably, I'm not 100% sure, but debatably you could put Jinx at relativistic speeds. But
Should we be looking at like the
I
recommended media?
yeah, I've looked at the recommended media, and generally it lines up pretty well. Though I'm surprised that Ruined King is being mentioned, because that those events don't really affect Jinx in any way. Though I guess you could put Jinx high if you really scaled the characters to the Ruined King cast, because I think there's like several town level feats there, but I haven't been able to check that.
Hmm.
But
It's like if you
also, so
so you could get them both to town, potentially, is what you're
yeah,
saying.
I think potentially you could get both to town. Though personally, I'd probably put Jinx at like city block level and debatably relativistic.
And then Harley at multi-city
While
block, and
yeah, so it's
pretty certainly
relativistic. So it is rather. So it is. I think this is generally a close fight. Like generally, I could see arguments going either way, and I feel like the stats are close enough that it's not going to be an outright stomp for either character,
It does
unless
seem like you can
unless you
make an
skip.
easier argument for town level Harley though, because for town level Harley, you
Yeah,
just
no,
gotta say, so all these times that she hurt Batman, yeah, that means she scales. While with Jinx, you do have a couple hoops.
yeah, like there are a couple of hoops to go through, and a couple of things you have to think about before regarding town level. But I think town level Jinx is mostly fine, even though a couple of months ago I was dead set against it. I literally put Jinx at large building level and supersonic in my blog for
Mm,
Jinx, but which if that was the case, then goodbye Jinx. But
yeah.
I'm a bit more reasonable when it comes to Jinx's stats now, because previously I was like, nah, I wasn't so sure. But ultimately, I do think this fight is close enough where stats aren't going to be the big deciding factor in this. Though, I'm going to bring up something that I should have probably brought up earlier, but we aren't looking at any alternate universes for Jinx, like any extreme alternate universes. Like I've seen arguments regarding using Odyssey Jinx or Star Guardian Jinx, and I'm like, no, no, those are completely different alternate universes. Like it's like using to use the Fate example, since I know you know Fate. It's like using Rider Artoria for Saber Artoria. Like
Um.
they are
Okay.
very two alternate versions.
Okay. Actually, right. So let me explain the problem with that example. So, Rider Artoria. Um. I swear there's two. I'm fairly certain. Yeah, there's two Rider Artorias. Both of them are Artoria alters. The problem is that with Fate, they all are derived from a single spirit origin, or like something like that. I forget the
Ah, yeah,
exact term
fair
right now.
point.
So basically, theoretically, if you were to take Artoria at her best, because we know in Hollow Ataraxia, when she's angry, she can turn into Artoria Alter, and we know servants in Grand Order have shown consistently they can just change their spirit origins to a different class if they really want to. So Artoria could just go into Alter and then go into Rider. I'm not sure if she could go into Santa. With Santa Artoria, she only really appears during Santa
Santa
events.
Artoria.
Technically, it's Santa Salta. Salta is what we call Saber or Artoria Alta. Because Saber Alta.
That's so dumb.
But I think with Artoria Alta, when she goes Christmas, it's only during Christmas because the Christmas spirit is around. But I think a more apt example would be like if you were to use Harley Quinn, which they are, and then you just use that one time, that one version of Harley Quinn that's like as powerful as the Endless. Which
I haven't. Which
it's just something I heard, is that there is just a version of Harley Quinn that's that powerful. And that's at that point, it's like, so if you're going to use everything, Jinx is beyond fucked, and Harley is now somehow the strongest character they've ever used.
Which would be hilarious.
Oh,
That would be hilarious.
It would be amazing, but also not quite into it.
like, like, if for example, if you actually used Odyssey and Star Guardian Jinx, then like literally, Odyssey Odyssey Jinx has to see planet level feats. Like, she's
What?
capable of vaporizing a planet
That feels like it actually got above planet
with
level
with
almost. Actually,
with
no.
like with the Morning Star, which
No,
is
I've,
I
I've
think it's
heard.
like a ship.
I've actually seen planet vaporization get to moon level before, but either way, it doesn't matter.
And literally, and Star Guardian Jinx literally is imbued with the light of of the first star, which created the entire universe. So it's like, yeah, no, you should not use alternate skins.
I feel like that's just like
you,
there comes a point where you got to ask: are they being genuine, or are they just really dying for that non-Marvel DCL?
yeah, true. Like,
think-
alternate skins are a tricky business
I think
in League
genuinely,
because
you are the
but-
only person I've talked to in all the time leading up who said anything about Harley versus Jinx that wasn't, oh yeah, non-Marvel DCL, oh, let's go! That's all I ever fucking
yeah.
seen. That's probably why I'm so nonplussed on the matchup at this point. It's like Kyle versus Simone, except there's only one person who's interested in it beyond that, as opposed to 3 or 4.
Well, there's a couple of people interested in Harley versus Jinx, but yeah, it seems like no offense to some of the community members or some not. It's mostly outside of outside of our Discord groups, but like I think people are kind of just really like I think people just haven't looked at the stats yet, or at least just instantly go to let's scale Jinx to the mountain level characters or the country level characters without really looking at the context.
Yeah.
Like
I think Hugh is the only
But-
person so far that I've seen talk about how much he wants Harley to lose that said it because he prefers Jinx as opposed to because he wants DC to lose.
yeah, it's like
Oh,
that's a whole nother like. Don't get me wrong. I'd love Jinx to win. Like I really want Jinx to win. I much prefer Jinx because I love Arcane. It's one of my favorite series ever. But, and here's my but, I do think Harley takes this. And even if you put them very equal in stats, I think Harley just straight up takes this. And I'll explain a couple of reasons why.
I mean, yeah, go ahead. I
And-
don't have too much to add beyond Harley's stats, which we've already gone through. Because I don't really know
I
any
think
of
the
what they have for the most part. I mean, Harley's got a
I
hammer.
think the
and a
stats-
gun.
I think stats are relatively equal. Yeah, like as I said, stats are relatively equal. But I think why Harley Quinn takes this fight ultimately comes down to, well, arsenals. First of all, let's get this elephant out of the room. Joker Venom. Should or should she not be able to use it? I personally would lean towards yes, even though she doesn't really use this anymore due to her not really associating with the Joker anymore. She's used the Joker Venom multiple times throughout canonicity, so I think it's fair to
Please tell me
include.
she wins without it, though. Please tell me she doesn't.
No, she
need
does.
it. Okay, because my one
She
problem with
does.
Joker Venom, and I guess that's it's the same problem I would have had if Red Hood beat Winter Soldier with Venom, is it just sounds lame when a character wins because they have someone else's equipment.
Yeah, no. Like I'm fine. I was fine with it for like Joker versus Sweet Tooth.
But yeah, it is Joker's, like, it's his big trump card.
Yeah,
With Harley, it's just something
Yeah,
she had
like-
because there was a time where she was just a satellite character for the Joker.
yeah. That like I'd be against using Joker Venom in general, but I do think she wins without it. Like generally, I would say that Harley has a much wider variety of weapons. Like generally speaking, like don't get me wrong, Jinx has a fair amount. Like she's got some really good explosive stuff, but
Is that just
Shit,
her
like,
entire
she-
arsenal?
yeah, a lot of her stuff is like explosives.
So when it
like,
comes to a matter of
I'll-
similar stats, it's not terribly useful in terms of
But-
closing the gap.
Yeah, like most of Jinx stuff is explosive based. Like she's got chomper grenades that can attach it to any target and then explode, which is would actually be quite useful if she can get it off. Because I don't think Harley could survive an explosion literally point blank at that level. She's got like fire chompers that root her opponents to the ground and make them and reduce their movement speed. She's got electric pistol which can short circuit machinery as well as paralyze anything. Then she's got a regular pistol which she uses mostly in arcane that actually was able to destroy projectiles. So that would be one good method of countering Harley.
That does seem pretty good, except against the gas, of course, because that.
Because
I'm not sure if that would.
Though she does have means of getting away. Yeah, she does have means of getting away.
A gas mask, apparently.
Yeah, she does. That allows her to protect herself against gases.
So to my knowledge, Joker Gas has also gone through gas masks before.
True. That could be a fair argument. That could be a fair argument against Joker Venom using the mask to protect herself against Joker Venom, but I wouldn't put too much stock into it. She also has like voice grenades, which can basically mimic other people's voices. So like, I know this is unlikely, but I would love to see it like during the fight. She literally uses a voice grenade to make herself sound like the Joker. That'd be a really fun interaction. But I don't think that would work, mostly due to the fact she hasn't met the Joker.
Yeah, how would she know? Like, unless the Joker was there already. Because like at that point, I feel like it'd be more likely to have her use it, and it makes it like to sound like Harley Quinn, and Harley starts just arguing with herself. I feel like that
would be a good moment. That would be a really cool moment. It would be a great use of psychological tactics, which I'll get into this later, but I do think Harley Quinn is more of a better fighter than Jinx
Harley
is.
probably has all the non-physical advantages, like experience. I feel like Harley just
she's a lot more experienced, and she's a lot better hand-to-hand fighter. She's a lot better hand-to-hand fighter.
Everything I see with Jinx is guns.
Yeah, like Jinx mostly relies on guns and explosives. Like she's not the type of person to fight hand-to-hand. Like she has some hand-to-hand experience on the streets due to her interactions with Vi. But generally speaking, she likes to fight at a distance.
Her sister needs to have some reason to be there.
Like, her greatest weakness throughout Arcane, other than her insanity, is the fact that once you get up and close to her, she crumples really hard. Like, during her fight with a character called Echo, like, Echo is able to easily close the distance between her and just disarm her within seconds. I'm like, what would prevent Harley Quinn from doing the same thing? Like,
because Harley's faster, and her most famous weapon is a big fuck-off hammer.
Yeah, exactly. Without her fish bones, which is basically a rocket. It's like a Ruby-style weapon. It's like a rocket launcher that can turn into a minigun. Which I'm surprised Ruby hasn't done that before.
Well, that's because the rocket launcher
that would seem like a dope idea.
The rocket launchers are both combined with hammers. And the minigun is a fucking little purse.
Yeah. Oh god, don't get me started on that weapon. That weapon is not good. But
no,
I do think it's fair to give her, like, in terms of other weapons, I think it's fair to give her Hextech crystals, which were developed by two scientists called Jason Victor, and their power level. The Hextech crystals have shown repeatedly they're strong enough to blow up buildings. Like, they're easily some of her best weapon tools. Because during the finale of Arcane, she literally uses a Hextech crystal to blow up a building. It's like they are easily the most explosive. I think it's fair to give her that, because those crystals are quite powerful.
I'm imagining how silly it's gonna look now to have, like, it feels like with Jinx. To make the fight feeling character, she seems like the kind of character who just launches everything in a hail of explosions, and I can't help but feel it would look really stupid for Harley Quinn to just be running through tanking these explosions.
That's kind of a funny point. Yeah, like, Jinx is very much a throw everything character. Like, she's gonna be fighting at range. She's gonna be throwing explosions, and then Harley Quinn's gonna be like, "I'm gonna be tanking all that shit."
Or like
Well,
Harley
most
Quinn
of that
suddenly
shit.
turns into fucking Max Payne or Samus Aran and is just dodging
Yes.
missiles epically. Like
Oh,
some
that would be
sort of-
great.
That sounds so
I
stupid.
hope they do that.
It sounds
That
it
sounds
sounds
that
funny,
sounds very stupid.
but it feels very unfitting for how Harley is normally portrayed. It's definitely funny, and
Yeah,
it would be very hilariously out of place for a character like Harley. Like everything I hear about Jinx, he sounds like a 40k orc more than anything, like fucking
Yeah, like
Gazgul. Okay, not quite. That's maybe a bit of an unfair comparison. But
man.
I'm starting to understand Jinx versus Trigger Happy a little bit better.
Yeah, yeah, like Jinx as in terms of a fighting style basically relies entirely on range. Like she's not a hand-to-hand fighter. Like Harley also relies on range fights. She generally, other than a hammer, she generally prefers fighting at range. Like she uses a lot of crazy wacky explosives. Like I that's actually a thought. I just had. Are they gonna bring in the hyenas?
I'd
Like, are
hope
they gonna
not.
give her the high?
I hope not, because they'd probably die, and I love hyenas. Hyenas are great.
Like Bud and Lou, like I, because those are one of the most, like Bud and Lou have been associated for Harley Quinn for years. So I'm like, could they use that? But I think yeah, probably they wouldn't want to render out dogs and then murder them.
Yeah, and like the most probably well known times they've appeared have been in Injustice 2 and Birds of Prey, and those things both kind of suck. So.
Injustice 2, Injustice 2 Harley Quinn is a whole nother debate. Like, I
mean, to be fair, she is.
it does.
She is technically one of the better characters in Injustice 2.
True.
'Cause
I do find it hilarious that when Harley Quinn literally calls out Wonder Woman for basically for being a giant hypocrite and being a giant piece of shit, which Injustice Wonder Woman absolutely is.
She's probably worse than Superman. Like Superman actually feels regret at points. Like I hate Injustice Superman, but like he has a sliver of humanity. Harley Quinn's just a massive slag.
Yeah, like man, why couldn't we have gotten a fighting game that actually had the characters in character for DC?
Yeah.
Like, Super Injustice.
Why does
like,
DC
don't get
gotta
me wrong,
feel
I
this
love
need
Harley Quinn.
But
Like, I sorry.
no, go ahead.
Like I liked Injustice Harley Quinn well enough, but I think she got way too much screen time in Injustice 2 and just got way too much focus. Like, really, the focus should have been on Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman, and it wasn't. And I think Wonder Woman and Superman barely got that much screen time compared to like the arc of Batman and Supergirl and Brainiac.
I mean, you say that Supergirl is kind of completely pointless to the story.
Yeah, even though she was touted as the main protagonist, like literally her story opens with.
Yeah, it starts with Candor.
Yep, like
it's a great
just
scene. It's like probably the best scene in the game.
And yet she ends up being completely pointless, and then they have two endings, which both aren't very interesting.
And neither really involves Supergirl. And she spends the entire final battle against the big boss on a table voiced by someone else for some reason.
Yeah, it's like Injustice has such good graphic, like Injustice has some really good stuff in it, but the story is just garbage.
I am sort of wondering why they didn't use a polished up Injustice 2 model for the fight though, because with
no, I think it would have looked very weird. It would have looked very weird.
Jinx has all this detail and gradient and like elements to it, and then Harley does not. I don't know where the model they got is from. I mean, it might actually, it probably is just like one that they found somewhere, for sale. But I don't know, the whole flat sort of colors on like the animated series body, and then for some reason the Suicide Squad Lego sort of hair, it
does look kind of weird. What surprised me, I guess, I guess it probably wouldn't have been able to do this considering it just came out. It came out like a couple months ago, but I'm surprised they just didn't use the Fortnite models. Like then we can make the amazing revelation that Fortnite is in Death Battle. Like the Fortnite models literally would have matched.
Yeah, like that would have.
But like
that would have been so funny. I would have fucking loved that, as opposed to like Galactus using Fortnite or something. That would have been so funny.
Yeah,
Fortnite Jinx and Fortnite Harley.
Oh. That's man. I actually do wonder if they're ever gonna use the Fortnite models. Like the Fortnite models are quite decent, but like it'd just be weird seeing Fortnite models in Death Battle unless you're actually using Fortnite characters. Which, oh boy, Fortnite in Death Battle. I can already see the jokes.
I just want to hear Brandon Yates in the most guttural voice he can, like number 1 victory in the track. Like,
that'd be funny.
That just sounds so
like,
good.
That would be really, yeah. Like, I'm surprised that like Fortnite barely gets any requests on like music tracks, step up music tracks. Like, I've not seen a single Fortnite request. I'm like, Fortnite is very popular, but like
they're probably afraid of how Brandon will react.
Yeah. Like there are some Fortnite mashups, but like I think League is probably more requested than Fortnite in terms of music tracks.
Yeah, just imagine if
like League has
someone commissioned Fortnite versus Raid Shadow Legends to Brandon.
That would be perfect. That would have been
the
amazing.
The opening is just like that same musical sting from every single fucking Raid Shadow Legends sponsorship, and then midway is
like
just
literally all the time. Literally, whenever I go on YouTube, I always see Raid Shadow Legends. I'm like, really? You couldn't promote a better game? Well, apparently it's not very good.
Oh, I'm just imagining fucking the Fortnite Chug Jug, but it's done in a high fantasy music style.
Yeah.
Like fucking Lord of the Rings Chug Jug. That sounds hilarious.
Like, is Raid Shadow Legends even successful? Like, why does it constantly get yeah. I guess that's wildly off topic, but like I guess we were barely on topic anyway. But yeah, in terms of League stuff, I'd say that Harley is a lot more versatile. Like generally speaking, Harley has a lot more wacky gadgets.
Like everything you've mentioned for Jinx has primarily just been a variant of a gun or a rocket launcher. Or a grenade.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I feel like Harley probably has her own equivalents of those things somewhere in her history.
Yeah, no, she definitely does. She has like a bunch of.
Please do talk about Harley's arsenal, because like all I know is that she's got a gun and a hammer and some gas that makes you smile. So please.
I think. Yeah, I'm less sure about Harley than I was with Jinx, but generally I think she has. Generally she uses like multiple types of guns. Her main weapon is her hammer.
Yeah.
But that's undeniable. She mostly fights with the hammer, but she uses like cupcake explosives. She uses present explosives as well. She really leans into that Harley Quinn motif with her weapons. Like, I think she also has like one of those those fake guns. Like. The ones that Joker's infamous of using.
The gun with like the flag or the boxing glove or nothing but confetti.
Yeah, like
those will be very helpful.
She also uses like she uses, but yeah, most of her weapons are gun based. I will say that. Like she basically and bats. She likes bats. She likes hammers, and she likes guns. Like, generally speaking, in terms of like close range combat, I think Harley is a better fighter.
Absolutely.
Like, and she has better weapons. Like she has. I do wonder if they're gonna have her switch between the hammer and the bat multiple times throughout the fight, or just focus mostly on the hammer because that's her most iconic weapon. Like generally speaking, when it comes to Harley, she's associated with the hammer. So in the animation, it makes sense to focus on that. But she also has like machine guns. She has like flare guns. I think she also has a Tommy gun.
That makes sense.
Like, and she has like multiple like spring traps like Joker does. She has like multiple spring traps that allow her to restrict people's movements. And of course, we have the sleeping gas. So, though I will say that I don't think it's fair to give her like any of her crazy cosmic stuff. Like,
No.
she's not going to get a Green Lantern ring or any rings.
No. I mean, they gave Batman everything, and he still didn't get the White Lantern ring. So, yeah, I can't imagine Harley's going to get anything like that. And also, like, how many Harley Quinn fans are going in thinking, you know what I fucking want to see? I want to see Harley Quinn with a lantern ring. That's what I associate
it
with
would
Harley
be funny.
Quinn. I mean, to be fair,
It would be funny, but
she'd probably bounce off Jinx better if she could make all her own weapons.
Yeah.
That sounds
Yeah,
silly,
like
though.
she's not Frank West. She can't like make weapons off the fly. And,
No, I mean, I don't doubt
like,
she could, but I can't imagine she would.
Generally, Harley mostly relies on guns, explosives, well, and the gas. Mostly the hammer and the guns and the explosives. Because I think intentionally, I could be wrong on this, but intentionally feels like Harley's trying to move herself away from the Joker. So she uses laughing gas a lot less than she used to.
Yeah.
Like, and generally she's become more of an anti-hero than an outright villain, so it makes sense not to use her crazy wacky using her gas. Though in the Harley Quinn TV series, what she could use, and we've joked about this, I've joked about this as well. Other people have joked about this on chats. She literally has a cancer ray, which I'm like, will they reference that? Like, literally in the Harley Quinn series, she uses a ray that gives people cancer, and like she feels really guilty about it afterwards.
I mean,
That's,
I'm laughing, but like one of my favorite characters is Godzilla, and his ray does induce cancer. So,
true. It's like, but like I think they'll probably make a joke. I do wonder if they'll make jokes about Harley's arsenal being kind of crazy. Well, not crazy, but kind of like unorthodox. Like she literally, I kind of hope during the animation she pulls out a gun only for it to turn out to be the boxing glove gun. Like she literally uses a boxing glove to punch Jinx in the face, and Jinx is like, "Wait, what? Like, why would you use like a merge a boxing glove with a gun? That seems like completely impractical."
yeah. If they do make her use all her wacky weapons, I just hope, like I said, I hope she's not piss irritating, and I worry you could easily do that.
But yeah, generally speaking, she has more. But generally speaking, I'd say she has more of a crazier arsenal.
Like what I'm getting from this is that Harley is probably a little bit faster, and more importantly, has ways to keep Jinx in place while she runs up and thwacks her with a hammer. And Jinx really has no answer for that.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Though I would say that Jinx also has methods of taking out Harley. Like, if she attaches a bunch of grenades to her, then I think that would significantly injure Harley.
Yeah.
Like, Harley can, like, Harley has a minor healing factor based on the comics. Like,
Of course she does.
Some damage. Because she's a DC street level. Of course she has some
What concerns me about that, though?
Just like Batman.
Does she has to get close to attach those, right? Like, Jinx, she can't just shoot those.
Yes.
So the problem there is that
She does. She can throw them like as a grenade. Like, she can throw them directly at the opponent, and they're actually quite fast. Like, they instantly latch onto the opponent and then explode.
Okay, but like I feel like Harley can just, swat it out the air.
True, but I guess she could distract her and then use it, or just do what she did in the episode 4 of Arcane, which she basically used the power line to literally quickly dash in front of dash without them noticing, and then then they're suddenly attached. But I feel like Harley's a much smarter opponent than people give credit for.
Yeah,
so
I
she
think
probably
with Harley,
noticed.
like, keep in mind, she's also a psychologist, or psychiatrist, so if we're talking
Yeah.
about intelligence, I feel like Harley has I feel like I've read her psychoanalyzing an opponent in a fight to get the upper hand.
Yeah,
which is something that Jinx just can't. Jinx just can't counter that. And I do not think Jinx being crazy, unpredictable, is going to matter at all either, because Harley's fought the Joker, I'd imagine, and she is also Harley Quinn.
Exactly, and being honest, Harley being a psychoanalyst is actually ironically one of her biggest strengths, because she could easily pick out Jinx's weaknesses. Like Jinx, for all craziness, is still like a 18 to 20-year-old, deeply damaged person. Like she's been through some terrible shit in the Arcane series, as well as implied in the games. And like Harley's not an idiot. People say, "Oh, Harley's an idiot," but she's not an idiot.
No, she
She's
acts
actually
like one.
Quite intelligent when she acts like one, but she's actually extremely intelligent.
I guess that is where the obvious Deadpool comparison comes in, you know. Because Deadpool acts like a fucking idiot.
But is actually extremely smart, and Harley's also kind of the same. Like she like Harley. Fun fact: in the comics, Harley Quinn literally psychoanalyzed Red Hood, and Red Hood's psychologist was Harley Quinn, which I'm like, is that why Red Hood's kind of a bit of a loose cannon?
Like if she can fight someone like Batman, I have no doubt that if Jinx got close, that's game over. That's the end.
Yeah.
Like Jinx's only chance to win is if she can keep that range, and I just feel like Harley has ways to deal with that. Especially if Jinx is firing all these missiles, that's a lot of stuff you can't see through. Explosions aren't very like invisible. That's a lot of cover Harley could use to get behind something.
And use laughing gas to take her out. Though Fishbones, I guess Fishbones and Pow Pow, which are literally the names of her different forms of her weapon, could help. Like generally speaking, Harley Quinn fights quite light. Like she doesn't really, she's not Ratchet and Clank. She doesn't just pull out tons and tons of weapons. So, and I feel like Harley might have a trouble trying to get around Pow Pow, which basically is a giant minigun. And she's.
At the same time, Harley feels like she'd be more likely to disarm Jinx than vice versa.
True. No, I absolutely agree with that. But Jinx is also an expert marksman in the fact that she's excellent at tracking it. But the problem is it's still a minigun, meaning that once you're disarmed, you can't really do much, and it's literally her main weapon. So
how accurate is this minigun? Because
it's able to hit. It's able to track during the Arcane series. It's able to literally track what the firelights. It's able to they're on these hoverboards.
Okay, well the thing is, I mean,
and they're literally flying around.
I feel like
she's
okay,
able to track
that's
them relatively well.
At the same time, a minigun is very, very widespread. I feel like if you're flying all over the place in the air, that you're moving into a lot more areas that you could get hit by a minigun.
True.
If she's firing against, if it's like a regular minigun and she's trying to hit a singular target the size of a person that's on the ground, especially at a far distance where the bullets have more room to scatter around away from each other, I feel like at that point Harley wouldn't have too big an issue avoiding the shots if she has good cover and sees it coming, which she probably will because miniguns are not very quiet.
Miniguns are they're very obvious. And and it's been shown that while she's a great tracker in terms of a minigun, faster characters can outspeed it. Like we
Harley.
see the firelights literally run. Yeah, even in canon examples, during her fight scene against the firelights, the Echo literally is able to outspeed her. Like she's able to outspeed the bullets while they do hit her, some targets. Like generally, if you run fast enough, you can fully dodge it. Like I would say Fishbones in general works better when fighting against groups of like large enemies than actually going 1-to-1, which makes it not that useful. Like generally, I would actually say that most of Harley's abilities, no, Jinx's abilities, sorry about that, are better when it comes to fighting against groups rather than 1-to-1 opponents.
But yeah, she's using explosives and miniguns, I'd imagine. Those are weapons more designed to take out big targets and mini targets.
Yeah, like Fishbones is quite helpful in the fact that it does fire small rockets, but she can also rocket jump with it, so she can do the soldier thing and literally jump herself into the air and maneuver in the air. But I'm not sure how limited that ability is. Generally speaking, like I could see a cool moment in the fight where she literally uses the rocket jumper, her Fishbones, to literally jump into the air and try and fire multiple rockets down at Harley Quinn.
I could see that being an attempt to escape an up-close situation.
Yeah, because Jinx generally does not do well in close-range combat. Like, generally, she's able to fight decently, but she's easily overpowered by characters like Echo, who are able to easily disarm her and literally beat her to a pulp. So, ultimately, I don't think this is a complete stomp fight, but ultimately it comes down to the fact, do you buy Harley Quinn getting close enough to disarm Jinx and taking her out with, like, laughing gas, or any of her other, like, melee weapons? Because, like, if Jinx gets disarmed heavily, then it's kind of game over.
Yeah, I'd like to think that if if Jinx stays at, like, a long distance, Harley's going to be able to just set up gas all over the place while she's avoiding the shots. And eventually because Harley's really smart, right? She's going to know that Jinx is wanting to keep her distance. She's going to eventually put Jinx in a situation where she either goes into the gas or she has to go up close. Like, if Harley just makes, like, a ring of gas, then Jinx is fucked. Because she'll have to try...
Granted, I will say that I've seen some debate if Jinx does have, like, poison resistance due to the fact she has Shimmer, which is created by a scientist named Singed and developed by Silco. It's basically a chemical component that increases the body's physical strength while also degrading their mind. And it gives them superhuman strength, allowing them to easily tear metal walls and basically do a lot more than what the normal human body can do. So and post Jinx Shimmer is basically extremely fast because she was easily able to disarm Caitlyn and instantly turn the back on her, as well as literally appear out of nowhere and kidnap both Vi and Caitlyn without either of them noticing. So. And due to the fact that it is a chemical, you could argue that she has some level of poison resistance, but
wait, what? How does that work? If she had poison resistance, wouldn't it have done nothing to amp her because she would have resisted the effects?
Well, it's more of like a chemical, like more of a.
Yeah,
it's more like venom.
If she was resistant to stuff like that, it wouldn't have amped her. And it's not like there was much of a mind for it to degrade either, if that was the argument. And at that point, if you were to compare it to Venom, I feel like there's instances where Harley and Joker's gas has affected people with Venom, like Bane. I feel like there's got to be examples there.
Yeah, I think that probably is examples of Venom effect. Yeah, I think being honest, I kind of hope they don't focus on Venom too much, even though it is a very good win condition. Like,
I would accept
easily.
I would accept the ring of gas idea if that was, like, something that they set up every now and again, and then they reveal that Harley actually did have a plan, and she was just acting stupid. Yeah. As long as, like, if Jinx doesn't get killed by the Venom, but it's just there to keep her locked in a space, and Harley uses that to get up close, that would probably be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, that would make sense. And I do think she also has other gas. She doesn't just have Joker. I think she has other gases as well, like, both Jinx and Harley have knockout gas, so both could could use gases to knock each other out.
I mean, that'd be an interesting way for the fight to end, with both just knocked out, and then whoever wakes up first wins. But
True.
which, I mean, admittedly, would probably be Harley, because she does have
'cause-
that resistance.
Yeah, I believe she does have. I don't think she's completely resistant to sleeping gas, but definitely she has some level of resistance to it, to poisons due to her injections with due to Ivy.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of Ivy, I've seen people argue on certain sites, why not just give Harley Quinn Ivy? And like,
What?
that's such a dumb argument.
I mean, you could do that if you really want Harley to win.
But like people say, oh, Harley, it should have been Harley and Ivy as a team, and like, Harley has enough on her own that you don't need to bring in the Joker or Ivy.
And also, Harley would no longer be relevant at all. It would just be Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
Like, Harley is a footnote. If Harley got vaporized in the first second, it really wouldn't matter if Poison Ivy's there, because either way, it would have already been a win or a loss.
Exactly. And that's why it's like, if like, I don't mind Harley as a duo character in Death Battle, but I think it's better to give her own individual episode first.
Yeah, save the duo fights
Rather
for
than
characters.
doing,
Save the duo fights for characters who are essentially duos, like fucking, like Showtime.
Yeah. As well as the fight I really want this season is Hiccup and Toothless versus Hero and Baymax. That's more of a good 2v2 fight.
That's hilarious to me, because everyone's gonna call it a movie versus movie fight, when actually it's a comic versus book fight, which is incredibly amusing to me.
Even though I'm not sure if they're gonna use the Big Hero 6 comics.
I imagine they won't. I imagine they won't use the books for either, to be honest. Like, because Toothless in the books is a green death. Like, he will eventually grow up to the size of a mountain in the books.
Yeah.
I don't think he's gone there yet, though. I'm not caught up with the last few books.
Though we'll probably not. Yeah, like, we're probably not gonna see. I really want that fight, but we'll probably see Rue versus Megamind first, because that's the big fight people really want.
I mean, I'd take that. I love Megamind, and I like the first Despicable Me quite a bit.
Yeah.
I want to know who they're going to get to voice Gru, though. Like, that's going to be interesting. Are they going to make Gru piss irritating with an impression, or have an impression that's actually good?
I think Austin Lee Matthews would be perfect.
Probably.
Like,
they're going to
Austin Lee...
They're going to include Minions.
Like, Austin Lee Matthews is... Oh, yeah, they're probably going to include... They have to include Minions.
I mean, yeah, Megamind does have stuff to deal with the Minions, like, on a similar scale, so it would probably be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, though, I bet they're going to be looking forward to killing off the Minions.
Probably.
Well, some people like... Japan likes the Minions, but...
I hope... Like, I hate the Minions, but I would rather they not have a scene dedicated to nothing but brutally killing them. That would just come off across very 2011 Newgrounds.
Or early Death Battle.
Yeah, it would have very Justin Bieber, Rebecca Black vibes. Just, oh, we don't like these things, let's brutally slaughter them.
Yeah, Death Battle has certainly changed.
It'd be very out of place for the characters as well.
Yeah. Yes. Actually, speaking of which, since I think we've covered most of the points regarding Harley Quinn versus Jinx, do you want to talk a bit about what you expect for this season, as well as
I can say that honestly, like, I don't know. It's probably just like the fact that I wasn't too into the character reveals, but I'm not super hyped for the season. Like, obviously I'm hyped because another season of Death Battle, but like, I think I just chalk it up to the character reveals we got not interesting me. Because, like, I know... I mean, they're basically all fighting a Marvel or a DC character. The only one who's not is Tanjiro and Boba Fett. At least I hope not. I hope Boba Fett's not fighting Star-Lord. And I hope Tanjiro isn't fighting this nobody character no one's heard of from Marvel DC. I was like Tanjiro versus Black Knight. That'd be fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, Tanjiro, there's only two timelines. He's either fighting Jonathan or Hyakimaru. There's no other fight I could imagine them doing
Yeah.
for Tanjiro.
No, I agree. I agree.
Boba Fett does have that very small chance of fighting Star-Lord.
But I hope he's fighting Predator.
I hope it's anyone but Star-Lord. I would absolutely take
like-
Predator first and foremost, though.
Those Star. I'm actually surprised we haven't seen a Guardians of the Galaxy character in Death Battle yet, unless if you count like other characters. But
I mean, I guess
we'll
the
probably
problem...
get Star-Lord or Rocket Raccoon eventually.
I mean, I don't really like most of their matchups. Like, I'm not a fan of Rocket versus Stitch that much. Like, it works, but it just doesn't click with me. Like, Star-Lord versus Jean, I think his name was, sounds neat. But also I don't care.
I like Star-Lord versus Commander Shepard.
Yeah, that's probably the one I'm most interested in for Star-Lord. I think Groot's matchups kind of suck. Like, what has he got?
like
Treebeard,
Chewbacca.
Floronic. Chewbacca! Oh my god, that's awful. Like, Chewbacca versus
Like,
Worf
I've
isn't
seen-
anything special, but I'd take that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean-
like
I feel like with Groot, like, just find a matchup for Groot and Rocket. It can't be that hard to find a fucking bounty hunter duo where one's a little guy with a ton of guns and the other's a big brute. There's gotta be something like that out there. I
Yeah, that
refuse
probably
to
is.
believe that there's no perfect opponent for a duo Groot Rocket fight. I mean, you could probably you could probably argue fucking Ratchet and Clank would have worked, but why bother?
yeah,
Why bother?
Ratchet and Clank. Yeah, Ratchet and Clank versus Rocket Root does work, but
If they had to
Ratchet and Clank's
return,
done
if they had to return, gun to my head, I'd say do it, but I'd rather just not. They were done perfectly already, yeah. And then Drax's
Exactly.
matchups kind of... The only Drax matchup I like is MCU Drax versus DCEU Black Adam. That's it. I don't like the others,
yeah,
which is really just
Yeah,
Kratos
like-
and Orion.
which that's my
Yeah.
opinion.
Also, like, I think
But,
with
yeah,
Drax, Drax would be the funniest one because in the MCU, he's just like, yeah, he's strong, he's got some knives. In the comics, he's running around with, like, the power cosmic and these fucking galaxial powers.
Beating heralds.
Yeah, he's, like, tearing
Yeah,
up
like,
heralds and he's
with pow-
actually fighting Thanos 1v1.
Like the power level difference between MCU and comics in terms of Guardians characters is wildly different, and I think it's for the better.
Even then, like, if you ignored, like, the actual scaling, just the actual power sets, one is this fucking cosmic laser firing reality powers whatever guy, and the other's just a fella with some knives. There's
Yeah,
a
pretty
huge
much.
discrepancy there. And then Gamora, I
Yeah.
don't really care for any of her matchups either.
Yeah, Gamora. I've seen Gamora versus Starfire, but Starfire unfortunately has the problem of having of a worst matchup being the most requested one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Blaze versus I could see Blaze versus Starfire this season.
Once again,
hope
like,
not.
I think I've mentioned this before in servers, but I am getting a little bit sick of all these fucking Sonic the Hedgehog animations that treat him like a Dragon Ball character, treat them all like Dragon Ball characters. Like, I know it's because Super Mario Bros. Z, right? But, like, in actual Sonic, even in, like, Sonic Battle, they're not flying around at these hyper speeds having Dragon Ball Z fights. They're grounded.
Ironically, probably the
really-
most.
Probably the most accurate Mario
Ironically,
vs.
probably
Sonic.
the most. No, the most accurate Sonic Death Battle we've had in terms of how they're usually portrayed is Amy versus Ramona.
Yeah, I can see that. Amy is pretty accurate. I was only thinking, I was worried you were going to say Luigi versus Tails, which it would not be
Oh,
totally
God,
wrong,
no.
but the problem is the personalities and the way they play off each other is wrong. But yeah,
Well,
Amy Ramona does seem like a fairly accurate situation, but at the same
True.
time, I don't like
It's,
it.
it's just not that interesting. It's not that interesting.
Like, I think you
I
could.
do want
Actually, no, Eggman Wily's probably the most accurate to how the characters
accurate.
fight.
Yeah, no, that is definitely accurate.
Yeah.
That's
But-
definitely accurate.
So, like, Sonic, I've not seen any time Sonic's gone around, like, Infinite from Sonic Forces does that at one point. Super speed beating
But,
up a
like,
character, but he sucks.
Yeah, Infinite sucks. But I guess, ironically, probably if we ever get probably the most likely grounded Sonic fight is Sly versus Rogue, which, ooh.
That's the fucking one
Sly.
where Ultra Guy just out and said, yeah, Rouge fucking smashes him, and then deleted that from the post after.
Yep.
Which it amused me, but
It did amuse me. It's like, I don't mind Sly vs. Rogue thematically, just a stomp, but I actually do wonder if we'll get a Sonic fight this year, considering we had one last year.
I'm liking the chances of Bowser Eggman. Like, thinking about it,
Yeah,
you got a movie coming out
Bowser
for each.
Eggman makes a lot of sense.
Bowser is I think you'd struggle to argue any other character is more iconic as a video game antagonist than fucking Bowser.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, they got the movies coming out, and the characters
It's perfect to
specifically,
do it.
the characters specifically are being associated right now with Jack Black and Jim Carrey, who are kind of big, and I just feel like, especially with the in-house 3D team kind of not existing for the most part right now, having more fights that work better in Blender SFM would probably be good, and I think
Or
that's one that would
sprites.
work really well. I mean, yeah, you could do with sprites too, but I feel like if they were to include something like Fury Bowser, that you would not get the
Yeah.
scale across in sprites the way I'd
True.
like it. Because, like, I would totally be down for an ending where fucking Eggman fires the Death Egg cannon at Fury Bowser. Like, that sounds fucking
dope.
awesome. But you could either have it
Yeah,
actually
like,
work,
yeah.
or have Fury Bowser just catch the laser and just throw it back.
Honestly, I think it could, like, Bowser vs. Eggman could be the season finale, because it would actually match up really well with the Mario movie.
Yeah,
Release.
I mean, that's honestly the finale I want, because I want Kyle Simone to wait a year.
Yeah, I actually don't think Carl Simone is going to happen this year. I feel like it's slightly too early. It is a highly requested fight, but unless they do Galactus Unicron, which I've gone on the acceptance stage that's probably not happening anytime soon, especially considering the limited 3D options they have.
Yeah. I also, you've probably seen the video, I don't need to re-explain.
Yeah, I just think Eggman vs. Bowser is a really good season finale potential.
Yeah, and it sounds like a lot of fun, and you could actually have the Egg Fleet do something this time. Wouldn't that be novel? Because, like, Bowser's got his own flying fleet.
That'd be dope.
I
can see Eggman.
I still hear, like, the issue of, like,
I think.
I don't want to see them just using their armies, and I'm thinking, what's the problem? Because, like, Bowser is going to use his army, but it's going to be interesting, because the dynamic is going to be Bowser running through the battlefield trying to get to Eggman while the armies are fighting, and then he's going to have to deal with the big robot.
True. I do think sprites would be easier to do a big army fight.
Oh,
Because
probably.
I can imagine the budget would not work. Well, Deathblow has a limited budget, so they can only really do so much, especially with the 3D fights. It's kind of why a lot of the 3D fights
did the
recently
army
have
and
been
sprite.
kind of reduced in scale.
It could be you did the army and sprite, but then Eggman uses the Phantom Ruby, and that, like, really distorts everything, which brings it into
That would be
Blender for the
dope.
final battle, where you got Bowser, like, versus the Death Egg robot, the Egg Dragoon, and, like, all of Eggman's, like, big robots that could actually put up a fight against him.
Yeah.
Because, like, I feel like the only part where you go off limits with Eggman's arsenal is when you get to stuff like the Time Eater, where it's at that point it's not really
I do
Eggman.
wonder if they'll include the time meter. Yeah, I don't think they'll include the time meter.
The only way I'd accept Time
No.
Eater is if they included Dreamy Bowser, because I feel like he would probably work, but then I also don't really give a shit about Dreamy Bowser, so...
Yeah. Yeah, I think Bowser vs. Eggman is a pretty good bet for this season.
Yeah, that would be my hope
Like,
for finale.
Though, though I do wonder what... I feel like we're going to get at least one hand-drawn fight this year, which makes me wonder what it could be. Like, the one I really want to be hand-drawn, and I think it would be amazing, even though it's very unlikely, is Bill Cipher versus Discord.
Oh, that feels like one of those ones where the animation style would just be yes.
Yes, exactly. Just go nuts with it. Like, I know Deppel have had their reluctance in terms of bring back My Little Pony, but like the Bill versus Discord is such a big matchup, and it still is. Like, plus Discord's not a pony, but
And
you
also,
know, like Bill versus Discord has been
the My Little Pony, the fucking fandom has had to deal with 3 fucking episodes that begin with, Ponies? That's disgusting, little girly shit. Maybe give them an episode where that's not the first impression they get of Boomstick would be great.
Yeah, no. Like, I hope they do build the score justice, because that matchup really needs a great episode.
Yeah, it
not
does.
Be CFC tier.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think they
Cartoon
could.
Fight Club.
I don't think they could produce a worse episode than Cartoon Fight Club's Bill versus Discord. You'd struggle greatly to fuck up harder than that.
But I could see Bill Discord being the hand-drawn cartoon fight of the year. But though it kind of depends on if there's a couple of cartoon fights that could be hand-drawn, or they might just do a completely crazy matchup and do it hard. Do Monokuma versus Koro Sensei hand-drawn.
I mean, that'd be funny, but like that's not how I'd want Monokuma Koro Sensei. I'd want hand-drawn elements for the ending, like in an execution style, but
I could see Koro Sensei versus Monokuma would be a good episode this year, but because Ultra Guy really wants Danganronpa Depple eventually, but I'm not sure how relevant Koro Sensei is. I guess Koro Sensei and Monokuma are quite well known.
I'm not sure how.
I just think it would have a fun dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Koro Sensei is terribly relevant, but at the same time, who else are you gonna do for Monokuma? Fucking Persona guy?
No. And we'll in terms of other Season 9 predictions, I think Fire Emblem is a pretty good bet. Like, they've talked a lot about doing Fire Emblem.
I hope we only
but
get
the
a
issue
single...
is, like, Fire Emblem...
I hope we only get a single Dragon Ball episode.
Yeah, no, I think... I'm fine with 4 versus Vegeta being our Dragon Ball episode. I don't see any need for any others.
Really, as long as it's not done like Goku versus Superman 2, where it's where the choreography is so bare bones you could swap them out with any character. As long as it's got choreography that's really matching them, and as long as it's not like Thor Wonder Woman where it's literally unfinished, that'd be great too.
Yeah, I think 4 Vegeta will be pretty good, even though that debate's not fun.
I mean, it's really not much of a debate. It's just some people who for some reason think that Vegeta could tank a God Blast. Or dodge one.
Which he doesn't. Yeah, like, 4 should reasonably clap Vegeta.
But, yeah. I mean, I do get the issue that, like, a lot of Thor's hacks are, like, stuff he does not use. But...
I think it's fine.
I mean, he does have hacks. Like, it's not like... Yeah.
I do think we'll probably get some more crazy and unexpected matchups this year. Like, admittedly, the 6 fights teased this year are kind of, they're not... None of them are unexpected.
Nah.
Which kind of makes me curious on the remaining 10 if they're much more on the crazy end.
If they want to take me by surprise, I'll do Borg versus Cybermen or something. That would take me by surprise.
Yeah. Though
I'd be
really
fucking hyped,
Cyberman.
And we would be talking for ages about it, I'd imagine.
Yeah, like, Borg versus Cyberman would just be the you and me debate.
I would be more hyped for that than I think most episodes they've done in the last few years. Like, fucking Star Trek getting on Death Battle, I would be elated. Especially with the Borg, because, like, the Borg are one of my favorite fucking factions in Star Trek. Like, Next Generation is probably my favorite series, which is about the coldest take you could have about Star Trek.
Yeah, no, that's a very cool take. Like, I've not watched that much of Next Generation, but it's pretty good. But I'd love a Borg Cyberman army fight. It'd just be fun.
As you know, I do know there are a lot of people who consider Deep Space Nine above Next Generation, so it probably like cold lukewarm, but like it comes to a point where like it's a matter of is your favorite one of these two, and more often than not it's yes. Like, a hot take would be my favorite's Enterprise. I mean, I do have a bit of a hot take on Enterprise. I really like it, but I also do acknowledge it's got a lot of problems. I don't think the first 2 seasons are especially great. I think the Xindi season was really cool, but... and I think the ending was terrible.
Yeah. Star Trek would be great in that battle, but I feel like probably the first Star Trek fight will be Han versus Kirk, and it's probably not happening this season. Like,
Yeah,
it's
with,
kind of like the same feeling.
Not with Boba Fett coming in.
Yeah, it's also kind of the same feeling I have towards Dragonborn versus Chosen Undead. Like, I don't think it's happening this season. Like, I feel like there's a couple of fights they've mentioned that I feel it's probably not happening this season. Like Yugi versus Ash. Sorry, Ethan.
Maybe they'll grow some balls and they'll do Putt Putt versus Herbie.
Oh, that would be great. I don't. Does anyone know who? I'm not sure because I'm from Britain, so I don't know that much about Putt Putt.
I mean, I'm from Australia, which is like spicy Britain, and I don't know much about him either. But I know he went to the moon once, and I know he's purple. And I know he's
like I really hope we get some more crazy matchups. Like the last the matchups feel a bit safe. I feel like season 8 made sense not having too many crazy matchups because it was the big anniversary season. But like for this season, you might as well just go all out and get some really good.
I mean, they said that
crazy
they said
episodes.
that there would be like surprises and like series that have not been used before, like a lot of them. And then the fucking reveals are the most lukewarm, stale, obvious things you could get. The closest thing to a surprise was fucking Boba Fett or Jinx, and that's just because no one thought Boba Fett would come back, and no one thought they'd use Jinx so soon after Arcane. That's literally the only reasons. Like, it's not the actual characters. Like, when you think about it in a vacuum, Boba Fett is one of the most popular Star Wars characters, and League of Legends is very big, and Jinx is like the hot thing right now.
Yeah, like all these matchups make sense for this year. For like none of these matchups came out of complete nowhere. Like even Boba Fett.
Yeah, the Book of Boba Fett.
If he's fighting Predator, like yeah, exactly. Like
I guess the book tangentially related to Boba Fett.
Oh,
from what I've heard, it's certainly not a Boba Fett
It's not
series.
very good. It's not very good. Which I kind of feel bad for Death Owl because like I bet they were kind of banking on Book of Boba Fett's popularity. And, like,
I mean,
oof.
It's gonna work anyway because Boba Fett. It's like if they did Darth Maul. Like, even if there was a series that came out about Darth Maul and it sucked ass, it's still Darth Maul. He's still a cult favorite. He is still one of the biggest characters they've yet to use. Like, yeah. I mean, they probably should have... I'd say they should have hinged their bets on Palpatine more, but with the Book of Boba Fett, it makes sense that they would go with Boba.
Yeah. I think... kind of makes me sad we're not getting Han versus Kirk this year, or at least very unlikely to get this year.
I'm not sure we'll get it anytime soon. A part of me's thinking because, like, I'm very certain we're going to get another Star Trek thing coming out that's going to relate to Kirk, because like they've done Star Trek Picard, which is harkened back to Next Generation, and they did Star Trek Discovery, I think it was called, which was very focused on like the past. I don't think they've ever gone, like, in a mainline series, I don't think they've gone beyond the end of Voyager in the timeline, to my knowledge, so...
Actually, aren't they making, like, a third J.J. Abrams movie? You know, J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie? Fourth. Yeah, fourth.
I've not heard anything. That. I've not heard anything. I mean, there may be, but, like, this is one of those things where if another Abrams timeline movie comes out with Kirk... Or if there is a Star Trek Kirk that comes out as a story about Jim, between the end of the animated series and the end and when he dies in that one movie no one cares about.
Yeah.
If they could do that, and at that point it'll probably just be like, let's do Han Kirk now, because what they're probably gonna do is next year they'll hinge their bets. If that doesn't happen, they'll hinge their bets on either Vader or because of he's always popular or Mandalorian. If his show's still big, they'll hinge on Mandalorian. Mind
you, Mandalorian doesn't have any big matchups.
No, I mean his biggest is probably Goblin Slayer, but that sucks.
Yeah.
But they'll probably hinge on Mando, because like it doesn't really matter what fight you give Mando, it's gonna get good views because it's Mandalorian. And he's quite big. If he retains his popularity throughout this year, they'll probably do him next year. especially if the Boba Fett episode does well, because they look similar and they're both Mandalorian. Or
Yeah.
Boba's not really a Mandalorian, but he dresses like one and he looks
No.
like one. But if they were to do that, I could see them doing it. Unless something happens that either Mando drops down in popularity or Vader suddenly has another big surge, which is possible. If another film or show comes
Very
out
possible.
revolving about him, they'll do Vader. And then the year after, if it's still relevant, they'll do Mando. And then even after that, I feel they'll do Palpatine versus Xehanort first, because Palpatine's basically always popular. While with Han Kirk, Han's been dead for years now in the main timeline.
For years, yeah. And so is Kirk.
So is Kirk,
Kirk
but
has gone a bit more.
in terms of Star Trek, like, dying is not as big a thing for a character, because we do get a lot of shows that go back in the timeline. Like, ever since Voyager, we got Enterprise, which was further back than anything we'd seen at that point. Even further back than the little pilot episode that predates the original series. And then after that, we got Discovery, which is not further back than Enterprise, but still before the original series. And then we got Star Trek Picard, which is, I guess, like, there is a show that takes place after Voyager. But
the next generation.
I guess that is the show that takes place after Voyager. But that's not really, like, a traditional Star Trek series. And that hinges on old characters. Like Picard, Data, Riker, all appear. I think this... I don't know if the second season's come out or anything, but I know there was, like, a lot of talk about getting Whoopi Goldberg to reprise her role. There's a lot of just bringing in from the past. So I think it's extremely likely we'll get something related to Kirk in the future. This is the era of the nostalgia panda. So
True.
If that happens, then we could get Han Kirk.
There was a matchup I was going to bring up. Even Star Wars matchup I was going to bring up. I don't think it's that likely, but since it's one of the most popular Fire Emblem matchups, I have to bring it up. Kylo Ren versus Eldegoard.
I mean, yeah, that's popular. That's possible too.
Because Eldegoard's probably, I'd argue Eldegoard's one of the most popular Fire Emblem characters and one of the most relevant. So they could do that. Plus, I don't think it would happen this season. Kylo Ren would be very different from Boba Fett.
I feel like if it's not happening this season, it might just not happen at all. Because Kylo's relevancy is just going to continue to decline as we move past the sequel trilogy. Because, like, I doubt they're going to want to bring too much of the sequel trilogy in future things, because it didn't get the best reception. Kylo does have the best chance of things in the sequel trilogy to come back.
Yeah.
But I still don't know if we're going to get much for Kylo to keep him relevant. And Fire Emblem's just going to put out a new game at some point. That's just going to overtake
and
Triple Abode.
And Free Houses is going to become less relevant.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Fire Emblem is a fairly safe bet, because they've wanted to do Fire Emblem for years. So I could see Free Houses or Lucina or Marth or even Ike.
Basically, just like, the characters who are in Smash and the characters in Triple Houses.
Yeah, and Free Houses. Yeah.
But I do imagine Lucina will probably be out first, and I think she'll probably get an opponent that's not very good.
Exactly.
She'll probably fight Kitana.
Lucina doesn't... No, I've said this multiple times on Depal Cast Discord on the fan, but I still think they're going to do Lucina versus Zelda.
Oh yeah, that's possible.
It's not a good matchup. It's not a good matchup, but I think thematically and it kind of makes sense to do a popular character like Zelda versus Lucina.
I remember seeing on the server someone commenting along the lines of Lucina busting out every weapon she's ever had in any installment just to match one game's worth of Zelda stuff, which amuses me greatly.
Yeah, like I feel like Fire Emblem is a pretty good bet. We'll probably get a couple, like maybe one or two more Marvel versus DC fights. Hopefully Black Adam versus Apocalypse.
I would like to hope we don't get more Marvel DC, because if you think about what we got revealed, that's a quarter of the season already is Marvel DC, which I'm not fond of. But if they keep it at the 25%, I will accept it.
Yeah, then that's fine.
But I don't think they will.
Even though there's another Marvel matchup that people are speculating is happening this year, thanks to a comment by Chad. on the depot
Right,
cast.
right.
Yeah.
The sex feat
Which-
comment.
Yeah, I love that everyone immediately went to Buffy.
Like, that seems, I don't even know why. Like, I've watched Buffy and Angel all the way through, and the sex thing is not something I've remembered until it got mentioned a lot in the Versus community. It's just not a memorable thing to me. When I think of Buffy, my mind goes straight to the scene where she comes home and finds her mother dead. I think it was her mother or her grandmother. Like, that scene is what I think of with Buffy. You know, something that really hits emotionally. Not that time she fucked someone while they were amped and shook the fucking area.
Yeah, maybe it's like a completely unexpected matchup. That's
Maybe it's
Chad was joking about.
Smallville Superman against someone. He also has a feat like that, where he fucks. I think it was
Really?
Lana. Yeah, Lana. I think gets like equal strength, and then they imply they're gonna fuck. And then there's just a shot from outside as the ground is shaking and everyone thinks there's an earthquake, which is very heavily implied to be them fucking.
That's kind of funny.
It is.
But what would you even put Smallville Superman against? Dragon Ball Evolution Goku?
Hell no. Smallville Superman's fucking straight up a DC herald in power. Like, there's just no getting past it. In the season 11, 12 comics, he just tanks a fucking laser that's gonna blow up the universe. It's as clear-cut as can be, and even more clear-cut is the time he fucking kicks Apocalypse out of the fucking solar system, which is like dwarf star level. He is the most powerful live-action Superman by a fairly wide margin.
Ah.
Yeah, like, I think the
But
next
yeah,
strongest
like,
is Reeves Superman with the moon pushing. And that's still not even close. That's like Planet Plus.
Yeah, like I feel like maybe people are misinterpreting what Chad said, but we'll see.
I didn't actually see the clip. What are like the exact words he said? Because if he said there's an incredible fucking feat, I'm gonna shit myself. I'm gonna be so annoyed if people are extrapolating that from that.
But basically said, I think what Chad said basically said that we've been researching and we had to research a sex feat and it is crazy. And the feat itself is nuts.
I can't imagine it's Buffy Blade. That's not that. I don't think it's that crazy a feat. I think Superman fucking I think there was a feat of Superman fucking Wonder Woman. That was a crazier feat where like they changed the weather.
Oh yeah,
or something.
that.
Like, that's what I would call a crazy sex feat, not just, oh, we plowed and it like shook some dirt.
Yeah, but either way, Buffy Blade could happen this year, but I have my doubts.
It could. I feel like it's weird
I
because
hope,
like with the teaser we got at the end of the Eternals, I feel like Death Battle will be smart enough to wait for the Blade movie to come out.
Yeah, because Blade is definitely happening.
Yeah. And like when he does happen, he's probably fighting Buffy, but I don't know. It feels weird for this year, especially because
especially because there are a couple of other fights that probably should be Halloween happen first.
Yeah,
like, I know people want Jason versus Michael, and I completely get it why people want Jason Michael, but I kind of want Pennywise versus Freddy Krueger first because I just think that's just a much more interesting fight.
Psydude is going to personally walk over to your house and murder you.
Yeah, he is. Like, don't get me wrong. I think.
Can I just say, right? That matchup sucks. Like True Form Pennywise just sort of shits all over.
I mean, using True Pennywise is debatable, but yeah,
I think it would be.
I feel like
it would be hilarious to me if they did Pennywise versus SCP-682, just because I would love to see all the arguing of True Form or no True Form.
Yeah. Like, oh my! Imagine if they actually do CSP versus, like any CSP fight. I'd be like, wait, what? I've seen people want it, but
I'm not really a fan of most of them. I'm not too heavy on Doomsday 682. Like, it's fine, but
yeah,
I just doesn't interest me.
I feel like we'll probably get a Halloween fight at some point.
Now, there's 3 episodes that are likely. I think someone did the maths, and it came out there was going to be 3 episodes in October, which we can't confirm because it's all speculation on how long the mid-season break's going to be. But
Yeah,
if there is,
we will probably get a Halloween fight.
yeah,
Speaking of episode counts, I'm pretty certain we're getting 16 episodes this year.
probably I wouldn't complain.
Yeah, like I feel like we're not get. I feel like unless the break is significantly shorter, I don't think we're getting 20 episodes.
Yeah, I mean it's the season's starting in March, so
Like late March.
I just realized
27th of March.
they announced the fucking episode on my birthday in like the American time.
Yeah.
That's amusing because last year the episode came out at that time, the premiere.
Yeah, I feel like due to the fact that it's March 27th, I feel like we're not getting 20 episodes this year.
Yeah,
which is fine by me.
I'm fine.
Being honest, I never liked the 20 episodes idea because I felt like it stretched their budget. Death Battle stretched their budget way too thin.
Yeah.
On season 7, and it kind of shows.
Yeah, I'm not heavy on season 7.
Yeah.
Just sort of okay, but yeah.
They also announced that they're doing something with YouTube called Death Battle memberships, which sounds interesting, but they're basically integrating more of their YouTube community and doing more of their YouTube community stuff, which could be interesting.
If there's content locked behind a paywall for Death Battle, I will scream. Like the commentary is the one thing because I don't really give a shit, but
I think they might just. I think the idea they brought up was potential of doing like chats, like.
Right. Yep, not interested.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. Could be interesting.
Could be. Who knows?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a long chat, and it was at least on topic in that it was related to Death Battle.
Yeah, we talked about Harley versus Jinx a fair bit.
Yeah, for once we actually were on topic.
Yeah. Well, we were on topic with Dio Alucard because mostly Dio Alucard had a lot of discussion.
I find it amusing because like a lot of the people who are going to be really debating Harley Jinx are the ones who left a comment along the lines of, Jinx stomps because she scales to like all this crazy shit and then vanish back into the void known as character stats and battle wiki to go bask in their own self-righteousness.
Yeah, but yeah, I feel like people are missing. I feel like this fight is decently close. Like I could see a fair argument for Jinx taking this if you scale it to the higher stuff, or at least some higher stuff. But I think more times than not, I'm leading Harley.
I guess there is the question.
I just feel like she has a lot.
Like just because like it is a prediction, it's about predicting where you think that Death Battle would put them, and like we can confirm for the most part where they're most likely to put Harley, less so with where they're most likely to put Jinx.
Because I think Kirby's doing, I believe that Kirby's doing Jinx analysis, and he's a huge League fan. So I'm sure he's gonna. I'm sure the analysis portion is gonna do them justice. Because.
So speaking of researchers, I know that Speedy's been pushing for some town level DC Street or something like that. I'm not going to speak for him though.
Yes.
But it does seem like he seems to, like, I know he at one point said that Batman might be physically stronger than Captain America, which took me by surprise. When he said
like
that.
Cap, like a lot of people think Cap is stronger than Batman. And being honest, I think Batman vs Cap is wrong, but that's another debate.
I think it's wrong, but because of the fucking shield and all that. But I mean, I'm not gonna put words in Speedy's mouth because like he did say may. He did say it's possible. And there is no point taking I mean, I know it's the sort of the Death Battle community's thing to tinfoil every little thing said by anyone even vaguely related to Death Battle.
Yes.
But I'm not going to go say that just because he said maybe, that means, oh, absolutely, Jinx is going to fucking get killed by a town-level MFTL Harley Quinn running in with a hammer that can destroy fucking Hiroshima or whatever. I'm not going to say that that's what they're going to put in because I don't think they will. But
yeah. Ultimately, my guess is that both will be put at city block level to town. I think Harley will be faster, and their main argument will be be basically kind of like the Widowmaker argument.
Skill, intelligence.
The fact that, yeah, that Harley's more skilled, she's more intelligent, and she can easily disarm Jinx. Jinx's main weapon, and
they might try to say
kill
something poetic like Jinx is actually crazy, but Harley is really playing it up a lot. Like she's less like she's crazy and more that when she doesn't think she's in danger, she naturally will not really care. While if she sees someone running in with daka, she might restrain herself a bit because she'll acknowledge that as a bit of a threat.
Yeah. I think generally it's quite a close fight, but generally speaking, I think Harley takes it more times than not. But I will say that this is still early. We still got 3 weeks. Like something could come up that could change this verdict.
Yeah, like there's
I'm still sticking to the Harley Quinn wins this.
Obviously, like this is like a very casual sort of prediction. I'd say like when the G1 blog comes out, that'll probably be a more serious, like proper prediction that goes a bit like obviously a lot more in depth because there's not a whole lot that's shown up on screen for this.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So
yeah, the blog will be more in depth, and I believe we're trying out a new verdict style for the season, seeing how it works out for this. I think we're going to be like doing group verdicts.
Yeah,
but is just so we're not repeating information constantly, which we kind of suffered from, especially the infamous Hulk versus Broly blog.
Yes,
Oof.
But I also think that might be a bit more infamous for more than just repeating information.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Like, the fact that the blog ended up being incorrect.
Yeah. But like it wasn't a bad blog, but we kind of really wanked Hulk. And in retrospect, we probably should have handled it better. But hey, you live and learn.
I mean, I do still think Hulk wins. Like, but I don't know. I buy a lot of the Hulk fucking is like this outerversal guy. Like, nah.
Doesn't really make sense.
Like, I've heard a lot of people touting, classic Hulk was threatening Doctor Strange, and it's like, Doctor Strange fights a lot of magical things. Like, Hulk, understandably, is something that he'd be a bit more concerned about because it's not in his ball house. Yeah.
Well, Aka will probably bring up a fair amount of Marvel vs. DC Herald arguments once Scarlet Witch vs. Zatanna happens in May. I'm guessing May.
Yeah.
Which, have fun with that.
Yeah.
That's going to be a interesting time. Like, I think Akel's going to go crazy ham on it, and like, yep, this vlog is going to be basically cyber. It's going to be cyber all over again with Mother Horizon.
Yeah, except instead of having Phantom there to balance it out, I'm not going to have Bang Jang there to balance it out. It's just going to be Akil.
Yeah.
If I was to do a prediction for who I'm going to be doing predictions with, I don't know with Tanjiro Jonathan. I feel like I'll get a couple people coming in for that. Boba Fett Predator.
I wouldn't mind doing Jonathan.
Boba Fett Predator might just be.
I wouldn't mind being. Yeah, I'd be interested in Jonathan Tanjiro and maybe Magneto versus Tetsuo.
Right, so Magneto Tetsuo. I'm not sure on that one. I've got an idea set for it, and it does involve Akil. Kind of. So I'm not sure if that'll even have a regular prediction, because it is sort of a kind of cut and dry. And then Wanda Zatanna, it's Akil. Straight up. Thor Vegeta is also probably just going to be Akil and maybe Phantom. Which is going to be fun to see them argue. That'll be very entertaining. And I was about to say there's another one, but that other one is the one we're currently recording, so...
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how the season turns out, and if we actually do see Joker versus Jono this year, then I'll be down for that. Even though, oof.
Actually, no. I remember. I think I remember saying that Joker Jono is just going to be me lying on the floor for 5 minutes and then getting up and saying Jono wins.
There's a bit of debate. There's been more debate.
It's just a matter of upsetting people with that last bit. But for the most part, I'm just going to be lying there, stiff as a corpse. Just...
Yeah. mind you, John and Joker might not happen this year due to Jonathan Tanjiro. Well,
I mean, if it's not happening
I
this
think
year, when is it
Jordan-
going to happen? Because, like, at that
yeah,
point,
exactly.
part 5 is sort of... Part 6 is the thing now. And Persona
Yeah.
is going to have a 6th installment at some point. Like, you know.
Yeah, and it's probably going to be announced this year, is my guess.
And then we're
So
going to have...
this is probably the best.
Then epically, we're going to go from Joker Giorno, where at least the JoJo character has a chance, to Jolene versus whatever random nobody is the protagonist of Persona 6, who takes a big, fat, steaming dump on Jolene. And then that's going to be episodes
Yup.
actually going to happen.
Yeah,
That'll be
we'll see. We'll see if we
fun.
we'll see if we get 2 JoJo episodes this year. Probably not, but
We'll see. I mean, it's possible given
When
how
I-
well
when I-
Diokard did.
yeah. When are they going to do John and Joker?
Who knows? I don't care either way. It's that's one of those matchups that's like huge, and I don't care.
Yeah, that's fair. We'll see what this season turns out to be.
We'll
Could be
see.
exciting, could be disappointing. Who knows? Season 8 was pretty good. So, like, I hope
mean,
they keep up the quality
in
of
terms
season
of
8.
in terms of matchups, at least, I think the fact that everyone was hyping up that statement for a while of that Ben made, of like, oh, gonna see a lot of new, unexpected things. That I'm inevitably going to be
Yeah.
disappointed by the actual matchup choices, because there's no way they're going to do anything that actually is unpredictable for me. Like something
Unless they
unpredictable.
do something, like, really crazy.
Yeah,
Like
it would have to
Cyberman
be-
versus Borg.
Yeah, if it was Cybermen versus the Borg, that would blow me away. That would be like, what? Holy
Yeah.
shit! It would be something like that. That would take me by surprise. But if
Yeah.
it's something like people going on like, oh, they might do something crazy like Lucifer versus Beyonder, it's like I wouldn't be surprised. Lucifer show's popular, and it's a Marvel DC. I would not be
Yeah.
shocked. Or if they were like, oh, they're gonna be Yugi versus Ash, and I'm like, that's not really that surprising though. If they did it.
No.
Oh, they're gonna do fucking
No.
Captain America vs Ichigo. Not too surprising.
That's not that surprising, yeah.
Like, it is fucking
Exactly.
Captain Goddamn America, who's had a huge surge
Yeah.
with the MCU, and was already super popular before that, and also is one of the MCU characters most well representative of the character in the comics. And
Exactly.
like, I'm not gonna say that Kamen Rider is like expected over Guile or Deathstroke in terms of who Death Battle would look at. But the thing is that Kamen Rider has a pull to him that those two don't. That being,
Yeah.
it's not a side
Exactly.
character from Street Fighter, and it's not Deathstroke, who they've already used.
Yes. Yeah.
And
So
Deathstroke
yeah,
has
I
Taskmaster
could see
anyway.
that this year.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, I hope they go unexpected, or at least do more interesting matchups. Like I feel like we're not. I feel like due to both of us being in the versus community, we both know like we're not going to be surprised too much about the matchups.
Yeah.
But I just go for crazy matchups. Don't go for like basic safe matchups.
Yeah. I mean, especially because
Basically, don't be.
Death Battle's views aren't like super crazy right now, so maybe going for something completely out there might sort of hit a resurgence. If they actually try to hit some fucking fan bases they haven't tried before, maybe they'll strike something of worth there. As opposed to
Agreed.
just wheelhousing
Dude.
the same few franchises that their fan base has already moved on from Death Battle in. Like, most of the Dragon
Yeah,
Ball,
no, I
Marvel, and
agree.
DC
I
fan
hope-
base have moved on.
I hope they do that. Like,
Yeah.
go, that's my hope for this year. Go crazy.
I like to think Batman vs. Iron Man's views was sort of a wake-up call, because that did not take off as fast as I think they were hoping.
Yeah, just go crazy. Like, I know they need their viewership and they need their fan base, but like, just go nuts.
Sometimes crazy
Like,
works.
just do it. Yeah, sometimes crazy works. There are Ultimately, when it comes to this season, that's what I want. I want them to go unconventional, do matchups that unexpected, or at least do matchups that are interesting,
Yeah,
and don't over rely on a couple few franchises.
yeah.
That's my hope. At the end of the day, that's all I can ask for,
I
and to have good
Yeah.
and have be good episodes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously the most important thing is have good episodes, but like people are like, well, who cares what the matchup is as long as the episode's good? And it's like, I'd rather a good episode for a good matchup than a good episode for a not interesting matchup. Like, that feels like it's
Yep.
just kind of obvious. Like, If you don't like beans, but you really like spaghetti, you're gonna prefer a good spaghetti dish as opposed to a good bean dish.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
yeah, I'm actually decently hyped for this season. Like, though I'm gonna probably be less involved. Well, maybe be less involved.
We'll
Just
see.
depends on how uni work turns out. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Depends on how certain things turn out.
Yeah. So this prediction has run for nearly 2 hours now. I think it's about a good time to wrap it up.
Yeah, I think it's a good time to wrap things up.
We sort of waned a bit in terms of speed and pace, so we're approaching that point where there's not much to talk about.
Though we talked a bit about the season 9 predictions, which I think is fair to talk about since this is the first episode of the year.
To wrap it back into Harley Jinx, I do think Harley does win. Do I think she will win? I'm a bit unsure on who I think will actually win the episode. But
I'm slightly unsure, but I am leaning Harley. You can make a fair. I will say you can make a fair argument for either or. Like, this is not a clear-cut victory. This is probably the closest fight that was teased. Because like Jonathan Tanjiro, if it's that, then Jonathan wins.
The only other debatable one off the top of my head is Scarlet Witch Zatanna.
Yeah, and that's more what you buy.
Yeah.
I guess the gap between Boba Fett and Assumed Predator isn't too wide, just that Boba wins.
Yeah, Boba should just win. Because like the big thing with Predator is the self-destruct, and if a regular bloke can avoid it, I think Boba Fett's gonna have no problem.
Yeah.
Like really, Predator's best hope is a draw, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, Boba just outstats.
Yeah, and probably just... I mean, he probably should outskill, because we've seen very few Predators that are actually of proper skill, so we have no idea. Like, I'm trying to think. In the comics, I think we've seen a few, but, like, in Predator 1, Predator 2, they were both learning hunters. In Predators, there's a bunch of mutated ones that should not be used, as they're not representative of the Yautja in general, and the classic Predator, I think, as he was known from that film, is kind of... crucified at the start, so he's not even in his best shape. So it doesn't really matter what level he's at. And then the one in The Predator is like a berserker predator, who's also not representative of the Yautja. And then in Alien vs. Predator, both of them, it's either a bunch of trainees, or it's Predator Wolf, who's past his prime and is primarily a strategist over a fighter. So in terms of like films, we've basically never seen a fully fledged Predator.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd have to rely on comics to get a gauge on that, and I don't think anyone's fucking read those.
Yeah, well, I'm sure people will read it if Boba Predator happens.
Yeah.
And
but
then
yeah, I think
Magneto and Magneto Tetsuo is clear cut.
Honestly, even if it's Mewtwo Tetsuo, it's still clear cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is probably the closest matchup that has been teased, and I'll be honest, I kind of hope episode 2 isn't one of the teased matchups.
Oh yeah, I absolutely hope
they
spread them out a bit better.
Yep, rather than having them all in the first half,
and then revealing most of the second half.
Yeah, oh god, I hope they don't do that this year.
I did not like that very much.
It ruins the fun.
Like considering I wasn't too heavy on most of the matchups that were revealed for Season 8, it was less a case of, ooh, I can't wait for that one, and more a case of, which matchup do I not care about they're doing now?
Yeah. But yeah, Season 9, we'll see how it turns out.
We'll see. So, that was the prediction, everyone. You say goodbye first, of course.
Alright, thank you very much for having me, and I'm not sure when I'm going to be on in the future, but it's been a fun experience. So thank you very much, Nemesis, for having me.
It's been fun having you, mate. And yeah, I'll see you guys for whatever video I do next. Have a good one, fellas.